Everwinter was a quiet town, too quiet. It was nestled beside dark woods. The woods were deep and mysterious. In the middle of the woods was an old mansion. It stood empty and forgotten. People said it was haunted. They whispered stories about it. No one dared to go near the mansion. It was a place of secrets. Dark secrets whispered in the shadows. The mansion loomed over the town like a watchful ghost. It was a reminder of Everwinter's past.
No way, it's haunted.
Don't be scared, it's just an old house.
It was Halloween night. 4 friends stood at the edge of the woods: Lena, Daniel, Alice, and Tom. They were dared to go to the mansion. The dare was to spend 5 minutes inside. They knew she couldn't resist a dare. So, with hearts pounding, they entered the woods. The trees were like bony fingers reaching out to them. The wind howled like a lost soul. They reached the mansion. It was even creepier up close. The paint was peeling. Windows were boarded up. The front door creaked open on its own.
This is a bad idea.
But it was too late. They were inside. The air was cold and damp. Cobwebs hung everywhere. Dust covered everything. Each step they took echoed through the silence. The house seemed to watch them. They entered a large hallway. Portraits lined the walls. The faces in the portraits seemed to follow them with their eyes. Strange symbols were carved into the walls. They looked ancient and evil.
Did you hear that? It's just the wind.
But the whisper came again, closer this time. It sounded like a voice that wanted them to stay.
They continued down the hallway. The whispers grew louder. The air grew colder. A dark figure moved at the end of the hall. It had gleaming red eyes. "Run!" screamed Lena.
They turned and ran. Their hearts pounded in their chests. They could hear the figure moving behind them. It was gaining on them. They raced through the mansion, upstairs, downstairs, through endless corridors. But the figure was always close behind. They could hear its heavy breathing. They could smell its rotten breath. It was toying with them. They burst into a room. It was a dead end. There was no escape. The figure stood in the doorway. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness. The friends huddled together, terrified. They were trapped.
The figure lunged. It grabbed Daniel. He screamed. Alice and Tom were frozen with fear. I knew this was my only chance. I pushed past the figure and ran. I didn't look back. I didn't stop running until I was out of the woods. I didn't know if my friends were right behind me. I didn't want to know.
Lena pushed past the shadowy figure as it grabbed Daniel, who was screaming. Lena ran until she reached the edge of town. She was shaking and crying. She told everyone what happened, but no one believed her. They said she was just scared. They said her friends were probably playing a prank, but Lena knew the truth. She knew her friends were trapped in the mansion. She could still hear their screams in her nightmares. The next day, people searched for Daniel, Alice, and Tom, but they were gone, vanished without a trace. The police searched the mansion. They found nothing. No sign of a struggle, no sign of the friends. The town of Everwinter was in shock. The whispers started again. Whispers about the mansion. Whispers about the missing teenagers. People said the mansion had taken them. They said the mansion was hungry. Years passed. The mansion remained abandoned. No one dared to go near it. But the legend of the missing teenagers lived on. They said that on Halloween night you could hear their voices, whispering from the mansion, calling out for help. Lena never went near the mansion again. But every Halloween night, she would listen. She would listen for the whispers. She would listen for her friends. And sometimes she would swear she could hear them, calling her name from the shadows.